episode 157 of the Thunder Underground podcast. My name's Trent. I'm here with Jason, and we got a buttload of stuff to talk about this week.
We sure do. You know, I love guests. I love the big names we have. I love talking local bands. But I really do kind of look forward to these just talking episodes.
Yeah.
You know?
We just talk about new music or talk about whatever's on the...
Because when we have these,
Blabbermouths.
yeah, that means there's a lot of shit to go over.
Right.
And that's always good in the rock world.
Yeah, the year is not even a month old, and we've already kind of been overloaded with new music.
There's so much shit going on. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad problem to have at all.
No. But you got to wonder, is every month going to be like this?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean...
At least it can't be with bands that we love, because like half these albums that have already come out are like huge bands to us, like COC or, you know, Machine Head's coming, Saxon, we've already reviewed that. And, you know, some of our favorite bands, Black Label Society, so on.
No shit, man.
But before we get into all that, as always, thethunderunderground.com, but also go on Patreon.
Yes.
/Thunder Underground. Just type in Thunder Underground. Become a patron of this podcast.
Please.
We would appreciate it. A lot of stuff goes into this. All kinds of fees. We're becoming trademarked. All kinds of stuff, you know, we've got to like go through to. They cost a lot of money.
You know, my beer and clown porn bill alone is getting up there. True. I think you're sick of supporting it. I don't blame you, but I like what I like. Yeah,
that should be one of the levels on Patreon, a reward. Like, get to hang out with Jason and watch clown porn.
That's right. You know, and I'm still looking for that black metal porn out there. I know it's out there.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Anyways. But no.
You're in the wrong country, buddy.
I guess so. I need to be in Norway, you know, and then I could... Trump would love that. Norway, you know. Right. Anyways, fuck it.
Or Travis T. Davis would like Norwegia.
Yeah. Oh man, I want to go to Norwegia. But really though, the Patreon is, you know, something we've thought about for a while, right?
Yeah.
You know, we kind of wrestled with, you know, what can we offer? What do you get? And, you know, I think you came up with a pretty formidable, group of packages. You know, and it would just be great if you guys checked it out.
Yeah. You don't have to $2 a month or as much as you want.
Yeah.
Anything helps. We'd appreciate it all.
That's right.
Well, let's get into some talk then.
Okay.
We found out maybe a month ago, there was all these rumors about this tour, and it was finally made official just the other day. Slayer has announced they're going on their, quote, final tour, which, will probably go on into the next year or two. But,
yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute.
But they've announced leg one in North America, and it includes this lineup that was rumored, which is Lamb of God, Anthrax, Testament, and Behemoth.
I know. I mean, when these rumors started trickling in, I didn't believe it because I was like, no,
that's too much.
I was like, exactly.
Right.
It's like, that's too much. That's just too much awesomeness. I can't handle. I don't know that I can handle that. You know, I remember seeing the headline going, no fucking way. Because, you know, last summer they had the Slayer, Lamb of God, Behemoth. And that right there is just like, oh man, that's just too much heaviness. It's right there.
It's like, how do you improve on that? You add two bands that are better than the other three.
Yeah.
Hey, I said it.
Well, see, I'm gonna...
You know how stacked the lineup is when the first band on the bill is better than the headliner?
Who Testament? Yeah, I know. Should Behemoth be in front of Testament?
In America, yeah. I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that they're like highly revered. They're big, but I don't know that. No, well, you say in front of. I think they should be on the. I think they should be the first band on.
That's
the
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry.
Anywhere else in the world, it would probably be the way it is. But I mean, maybe that's just. I think in America, actually, they're probably just pretty even.
Yeah.
But if you put the two bands at the same venue by themselves, Actually, Behemoth might draw more nowadays.
Yeah, true. As long as we get equal set times. Well, who cares? What am I talking about? Just the fact that I'm going to get to be there and see it, is amazing. And, I've got to say, I think I've said this before, on the Behemoth front, I can't really get into it. It's just kind of a little bit too extreme for me. But, I kind of like their vibe in a way. I like Nurgle's whole kind of outlook on stuff. So, and I've seen enough live videos where this is definitely a band you got to see live.
Yeah.
You might burn in hell for it afterwards, but you're going to see something pretty interesting.
Right. But I mean, just the three bands, the first three bands.
Yes. No. Yeah.
If you just had that on tour, it would be like, well, fuck, let's drive halfway across the country.
Yeah. Yeah. No shit.
Because admittedly, both of us are massive Anthrax fans. That's my favorite band on the bill.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
mine too.
Lamb of God, you can't deny this is one of the best live metal bands there is. They're great, and of course, you gotta love Slayer.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like I'm not joking when I say the opening band is better than Slayer, and I don't want to, just trying to say that to piss people off. I'm just saying that's how great fucking Testament is, and I'm glad that they're on a bill like this as well.
Yeah, I mean we're gonna see them at the Bomb Factory in Dallas. And that is fucking crazy right there. The Bomb Factory. What a great venue.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. This is going to be something, man.
Yeah, that place will surely be packed out. And
yes.
I'm really happy that it's there and not, like I've said before, the Gas Monkey Live. Because Gas Monkey Live is a cool venue until it gets to capacity.
Yeah.
And then it's just a fucking madhouse and a pain in the ass to even...
It is kind of crazy.
The sight lines are not good.
Yeah.
But Bomb Factory is one of those places where even if you're in the back, you can still see the stage. And
yeah. No kidding.
Pretty excited for this. They're playing there in June. I think the thing starts in, is it May? April or May.
Yeah,
and goes,
something like that, yeah.
Goes into July. So it's a pretty long tour. And then they're going to announce more dates, I'm sure. Because there's a huge chunk of America I think they're even missing. And then, of course, Slayer's going to go around the world. And I don't know if these bands are going with them or not.
Yeah, who knows? Here's a question, since Slayer says this is their final trek and all that kind of stuff. Let me just ask you we've talked about it before, but for the sake of discussion on the show here, 2 questions. And I don't know, are they going to do one more record? I don't know. I didn't know.
They had said at one point they were, but then I saw an interview a few months ago where Tom Araya was kind of backing off that, but Kerry King had always said they were, but I don't know. They didn't say anything about it with all this news that came out.
Yeah. And secondly, I ask you, is this really the end?
I don't know. We've said that before. I never believe someone when they say it's the end, but Slayer could be, because any interview you see with Tom Araya, he kind of seems like he's reaching the end of this, and obviously they've managed to go on without half the members, because obviously one passed away and the other one they're fucking over, but Kerry King can't go on without Tom. It's not like fucking, it's not, like Alice in Chains replaced someone, Lane Staley, but you can't.
Yeah, no, you can't.
It's just not fathomable. So I kind of think it's possible, but if this tour ends in 2019 and then in 2022 they're like, Slayer's back for another tour, it wouldn't surprise me in the least.
Yeah, well, I think too. I got a few. I don't know. I think maybe they scale it back after this, or you might see a one-off here and there. I get that. Maybe, who knows? Yeah. I don't know. But
they could headline the Knot Fest meets Ozfest, or
because it's in California,
Sweden Rock, or whatever.
They could go do one day at Download or something. It's so hard to believe bands are, because because it's kind of like you said, bands will announce a farewell tour and it lasts 3 years, or they do a farewell tour and then they go away and then they always come back.
Right.
So I don't know.
I kind of like what our buddy Kevin Graham said. I saw him post on one of his many Facebook posts about it, because he's one of his 2 favorite
Huge
bands.
Slayer fan, yeah.
He said he thinks that they're deciding that they need to end it because they can't make another record and exclude Gary Holt again because Kerry King's ego is too big to let him be involved because he's a way better songwriter than Kerry King is.
Yeah.
And I mean, everybody knows that the driving force behind the majority of every great Slayer song was Jeff Hanneman.
Yeah.
And I mean, not taken away from Kerry King because Repentless was a good album.
Repentless was a great album, yeah.
And I mean, it only had, I think it had one or two things that Hanneman was involved in left over, but the majority of it wasn't him. So they can obviously write stuff, but it didn't have any involvement from Gary Holt.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
A couple more things I want to add on this, just Slayer related, one thing. Anyways, you talked earlier about, they fucked over one guy. I think I've mentioned this in the podcast before, but go YouTube one of the Dave Lombardo drum clinics. Someone asks him about it, and he just decides to just go right into it and breaks down every detail. I mean, he throws in dollar amounts and everything.
Yeah.
And it's pretty, it's like, man, he maybe shouldn't have done that. He could get sued for that. But who knows? I guess he was just in the mood.
Right.
And he broke it down, and it's pretty crazy. It's pretty fucking crazy. How he got kind of railroaded. So. Yeah. And then, just this whole tour related, back to Behemoth. We've talked about, Nurgle has I wanted to mention Me and That Man, because I think we both kind of dig that.
Yeah.
So, if you don't like the extreme growly heaviness of Behemoth, Nurgle has another project called Me and That Man that's kind of doomy, sad, gloomy, kind of honky-tonk kind of stuff. And it's really cool, so check that out.
And that guy, like you mentioned earlier, is so fascinating.
Yes.
Just read anything he'd post on Instagram or Facebook, and then, of course, he's got a book, and you hear him on Justice podcast. He's just extremely fascinating to listen to.
Yeah, exactly. So just a polarizing figure. So I'm really looking forward to this tour. It's going to be crazy. And we didn't even really go into Lamb of God or Anthrax too hard.
Right.
And I mean, come on, that's just going to be awesome.
Yeah, I never get tired of seeing Anthrax live.
Yeah.
Like I said, one of my all-time favorite bands.
Oh, definitely.
Lamb of God's the same way. It doesn't get old because these are, 5 amazing musicians that just throw it down live. And it's just, I didn't see that tour last year. And, Slayer is a great live band, but it's like, how do you follow all that stuff that comes before you,
Well, they can do it, and if they can't, they've got balls for putting that lineup together.
Well, we know they can,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, speaking of balls out heavy, Phillip H Anselmo and the Illegals are back.
Oh, man. It's balls out fucking intensely weird is what it is.
Right. Choosing Mental Illness as a Virtue.
Yes.
Is the title of the second album from Phil's, I guess you'd call it a solo band because his name's in the title.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Taylor is a part of this, who we've had on this podcast.
Yes, definitely. So go check that out.
Yeah, he talks a lot about this, and of course, Superjoint.
He switched to guitar for this record.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, he played guitar in the first one.
Oh, he did it?
Yeah, and then he just does bass in.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry.
I believe, right, yeah. This thing, how do you even talk about this? It's like, you already know what you're going to get from Phil with the Illegals.
Yes.
But it's like so hard to grasp in one listen.
It is. And it's, well, I'm kind of like you. I don't, okay, this is extreme as extreme fucking gets. Okay. I mean, Phil talks about extreme and, you don't know because he's got a million different projects. But then you do know when you hear the Illegals, because it is fucking insane. I've never heard him do death metal vocals. He does it on this record.
Right.
I mean, it's that really just kind of quick, punchy, raw, just, primal, grindy kind of stuff that you think is just, oh, this song's going to be fucking 2 minutes long. No, this shit's like 7 minutes long. I mean, it's, and And I read in the bio, which I thought made a lot of sense after, I heard the record and I read this, and what they wanted to do was, they wanted to keep extreme. They wanted to keep it, pushing heavy, pushing brutal, pushing extreme, but also to experiment and just go weird and do whatever they wanted. And motherfucker, that's what they did on this one.
Right.
Because, like I said, when do you hear albums like this that the songs are 6 and 7 minutes long? You don't, unless, then that's kind of the other caveat I put in here is I'm not really, this isn't my jam. I don't usually go this heavy, I'll admit. And not to say that it's bad, it's just not what I usually do. And so I don't know if their first record was like this. I don't know if you heard that first record or not.
Yeah.
Was it this just, such a hard pill to swallow?
Yeah.
The first time around?
I think since the songs were shorter overall on that one, I think it makes it a little easier because you're in and you're out.
Yeah.
And that's what you expect, like you said, from this style of music.
Yeah.
Whereas there was a few times I was listening to it where I had to check again. I'm like, hold, am I still listening to the same song?
Yeah.
And a couple times I was, and a couple times I wasn't. Which isn't a bad thing because that's what this is supposed to be, like you just said.
Yeah, that's kind of the beauty part of it. They wanted to just push these boundaries and just keep going. And, you've got to figure, when they're, him and Steven Taylor are writing these songs and, how they figure out how they want to go and where they want this to go and that to go. And, there's so many moving parts. It's just, it's quite an exercise. And, you really need to pack a fucking lunch to listen to this record.
Yeah.
You need to prepare yourself. It's not for the, it's not for the weak.
Yeah.
It's not for the weak.
Yeah. That song Finger Me, which is funny to say, Finger Me jumped out at me is probably my favorite song because it had throughout, it had parts of it that stuck with you.
Yeah.
Whereas, songs don't have to stick with you. Not everything has to have a catchy chorus.
Yeah.
Especially in, hardcore or extreme music. It's not gonna. But that one kind of did. And then the title track.
Yeah, Little Fucking Heroes.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, the title, sorry, I'm getting off base. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that title track had those, that was the first one that had those extremely heavy death style vocals. And then you hear Phil doing his thing where he talks a little bit and then it goes back into screaming and that song alone pretty much covered everything Phil does with his voice outside of like the singing that he does in Down,
Yeah.
And so that was really cool to hear. And his voice just goes to all kinds of crazy spots in this that you, even besides the death metal stuff that you might not have heard before.
Yeah.
And it's like, how does he do this? How does he do that without blowing his voice out? I don't know.
He must drink a lot of honey. I don't know.
Well, I've said before, people revere Phil as like, an icon now of heavy metal vocals. But at the same time, I don't think he's ever got the true, what's the right word? Respect or whatever, acclaim for how good he actually is as a vocalist.
Yes.
You
definitely.
think of just like Pantera songs, people always bring up the obvious ones, the big ones, but just think of the early stuff and then the later down stuff, like how great his voice is when he's singing, and then he turns around and growls, and then he turns around and screams where it sounds like, Satan's like erupting out of his soul,
Yeah. Yeah. And even on stuff like Cemetery Gates where he could do those Rob Halfordy type kind of things.
Yeah.
Which I don't know that he can do anymore. But like some of those Down records, he's just, it's just soulful as fuck, man.
Yeah. The last song on the album, when that thing hits, that's kind of a little bit different than everything that came before it.
Yeah.
And it kind of, at that point, you're thinking, well, this just keeps going, and all of a sudden you get a little more diversity, and then towards the end of that, when it breaks down, and it's got that real kind of just the last minute or two, might be a precursor to what, Steven Taylor talked about when he was on the podcast with that, what do you call it, the laid-back kind of ambient
yeah.
project that Phil's doing,
that. Yeah.
that he's a part of, and I think Jimmy Bower's a part of as well. So maybe that's a precursor into that. We should be
shall
hearing
see.
it next year or two.
I hope so.
I think they were recording it last year. Switching gears, complete 180. Frank Hannon has a new album.
Yes, he does.
It's also coming out this Friday. I didn't mention that earlier. The Phil album comes out this Friday. So check that out if you love the heavy. And then if you just love good classic rock and roll, laid back, southern, kind of a cross between Americana and classic and everything else.
Yeah.
Frank Hannon's bringing that with his new album, which is From One Place to Another, Volume 1. And this is a full 10-track album. Big thing here is he's putting out 2 more of these this year as well. So 3 albums worth of music in 2018 from Frank Hannon. So just jumping right into that, that's impressive in itself.
Yes.
Because a lot of these guys, especially when they have a main project like he does with Tesla, that occupies most of your time. So for him to be doing this is really cool. It shows like Frank Hannon's one of those guys where, for instance, a couple weeks ago, he was on the Moody Blues cruise.
Yes.
And then he turns around and he's on the Monsters of Rock cruise.
Yes.
How many other artists could do that?
I know.
He could probably go on 70,000 tons of metal and people would be cool with it.
Yeah, well, definitely.
Because
Tesla's better be.
Tesla's one of those bands that even people that like heavy stuff.
The metalheads liked. Yeah, they were. It's just like his song. He's got a song, Heavy Metal Hippie.
Right.
That's him. I mean, to a fucking T.
Yeah.
Really is.
Yeah, and this one is more, and another cool thing about his solo albums is each one's been different from the next.
Yeah.
Kind of has a different style going on. This one, of course, is all covers, and they range from, southern rock to actually like country rock, and then go way old school like Three Dog Night.
Yeah, you've got Queen, you got Ricky Nelson, you got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, Skinner.
Yes.
The thing opens up with Allman Brothers' Blue Sky, which was the first single.
Yeah.
And it kicks off with a banjo, so you kind of know what you're getting here. His voice is, every time you hear him, every new album, it expands a little more. Because, Frank Hannon's a master of the guitar.
Yes.
And I'm sure he's probably been singing his whole life, but he, as far as we know, we've only been hearing it the last probably 10 years outside of backing vocals. Jumping right in, Blue Sky has Dickie Betts on it, of course, who is his father-in-law. That's the kind of song that I think he excels in. It reminds me of his Gypsy Highway type stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely right up his alley for sure.
The third track was Under the Milky Way.
Yeah, that was one we need to talk about.
Yeah, when I saw that on the track list, I was kind of, I don't know if I was shocked, but I just thought, well, that's kind of odd.
Yeah. Because
it doesn't seem like a song that fits in with the other ones. It doesn't seem like something that would translate into what he does.
Yeah.
But he sings, a little bit deeper to fit the song. It gives him another avenue for his voice, and his song was pulled off really well, I thought. What was next? You're My Best Friend?
Queen.
Yeah. I love the rendition of that. It was more laid back than the original, which is already a laid back song.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing like I enjoyed about this album was he picked classics to cover, but not the usual classics.
Yeah.
That was what I thought was really cool. I really appreciated, because when do you hear somebody covering, Under the Milky Way Tonight or something? So that was really cool.
And Garden Party, that's Ricky Nelson, right?
Yep, yep.
See, I didn't, just by title alone, I'm like, I don't think I know that song. And then once I heard it,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, I know that.
Everyone knows that song, and it's a great song. And I really liked his version of it. I really dug it.
It probably stood out to me, that one and, Sunset in Texas.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Both jumped out at me, and I thought,
that was cool.
Because these are the 2 songs I was probably the least familiar with, just from how many times I've heard them in my life compared to everything else on the album. So I was really, maybe that's why they jumped out at me as my 2 favorites.
Yeah.
Because it was something a little bit new. But yeah, is Sunset in Texas, is that the Black Cherry Smoke song?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's why, I've listened to them some in my life, but not enough to be able to.
Yeah. And you got Ron Keel on the Three Dog Night song with him.
That's right.
Which that's cool.
Yeah, and the guitarist of Blackberry Smoke was on that song, right? I think.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so he's got a lot of guest spots on here, which he's done that in the past on his albums, like Six String Soldiers, which is fantastic if you haven't heard that.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, so check this thing out. It comes out this Friday, January 26th.
It's good stuff.
From One Place to Another, Volume 1, and should get 2 and 3 throughout this year. So we'll get probably at least 20 more covers from this guy, which is crazy.
What do you think he'll do next?
I don't know. I wonder if each one's gonna, kind of have a theme style of music, like, or if they're all gonna keep being this kind of thing or what, But
I feel like he might do a couple of heavy ones.
Yeah,
I have a feeling. I hope so. But if not, I mean, this is great too. Don't get me wrong.
Right. All right, let's play some music. This is a band out of Bartlesville, Oklahoma, called Galaxia, and the song is called Kings of the New Age.
Now you're sure you have some point of view. On you talk, and no one's hearing you. And you thought you had figured out what we don't buy. Bullshit from your mouth. Tell us what you think about everything there is to know. Never learn a thing. Every word you speak is just for show. It's all just for show. The world is spinning round your history, and everybody wants to watch you. You only read a headline in a tweet, and now became a famous PhD. You cannot tell that we're not listening, no, 'cause we don't know the shit that you know. Tell us what you think about everything there is to know. Never learn a thing. Every word you speak is just for show. This new age, we're just waiting for the time when you will realize. Tell us what you think about everything there is to know. No one gave you a crown. Never learned a thing. Every word you speak is just for show.
Kings of the New Age from Galaxia, like I said, out of Bartlesville, Oklahoma. And first off, I want to say, people outside of Oklahoma always have this stereotypical idea of what's here when it
Yes.
might come to music or
Yeah,
anything.
no kidding.
People think of country music or whatever. We know there's been rock bands throughout the years that came out here, but we've touted it throughout our time doing this podcast how
right.
much great hard rock and heavy metal is throughout Tulsa and Oklahoma City and the surrounding areas. But
Yeah, I
I
mean-
can't think of I'm sure there's something out there, but I can't think of that there's a band like this in Oklahoma that I know of.
Well, it's, and I'm glad you said something like that. And, I always kind of thought that, and I'm just glad you brought it up. Everyone always talks about the Tulsa sound. Yeah, okay, great. Tulsa sound is like a wet noodle on Quaaludes. Who cares? Get it out of here. I'm sorry. It's sleepy as fuck. Come at me. I don't give a fuck. So to hear something like this, You know, it's just, it's like a punch in the face. It's like, oh, okay, here we go.
Right.
You know, I mean, hooks and it's fucking heavy and the vocals. Holy fuck, man.
This is like melodic as hell, proggy as hell.
Yeah.
Like what is, I mean, how do you describe this? It's another one of those things where you can't really just pinpoint what this is. And a good thing to point out is they've got a full album. This is the lead off track.
Yes.
On YouTube. And I was kind of skimming through the comments. And one of them was like, I bet these guys listen to a lot of Devin Townsend. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, that kind of sums it up for me.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you've got that crazy guitar stuff going on. And you can't describe Devin Townsend to someone very easily.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, yeah, check this out. These guys are from Bartlesville. Look them up on Facebook. It's Galaxia. Like I said, they're also on YouTube as well. Follow these guys, like them. Tell them we sent you.
Definitely.
Well, now we've got some more amazing music to talk about here, and that's because Joe Satriani is back.
Guitar Wizardry.
Yes.
What Happens Next is the album. He's got Glenn Hughes and Chad Smith along with him. I mean, right on.
Yeah, when that news came out sometime mid last year, you got a 3-piece band that includes Satriani, Chad Smith, and Glenn Hughes. It's like there's not another level above that that someone could create unless it was completely fictitious. You know? Obviously Satriani's played with Chad Smith previously in Chickenfoot.
Chickenfoot, yeah.
But this is just straight up Satriani's normal style solo album with his music, but it features two of the best in the world at their instruments as well, which that's another thing to point out is Satriani's always had fantastic musicians with him.
Always.
So this is no different. These are just two bigger names, I guess, to your average rock fan.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame members.
That's right.
If that matters.
Is Chili Peppers in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, they are.
Oh, yeah.
But Satriani isn't.
Yeah, I know. Even the kid that was in the band for 10 minutes got in.
The one that died?
After Frusciante left.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. Don't ask me. That's a whole other subject. That's a whole other episode.
But Abruzzese, or however you say his name, didn't get in, huh?
Yeah, who knows, man? Who knows? And you know what? Now I'm pissed.
Gilby Clark's not in either.
Yeah, now I'm pissed. Let's have a discussion. Just kidding. But
we'll do that in April when they do that.
Yeah, no shit. And I gotta tell you what happens next is, for me, it's a return to what the Joe Satriani that I like. Nothing about Joe Satriani sucks. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes his albums are kind of hit or miss with me. Yeah. Sometimes he'll do one that's kind of out there a little bit, and then he'll kind of come back and do more traditional, and then another one that's kind of out there. And in each album, there's always a song or two that grabs you. But, this one is just back to, guitar, bass, drums, just like I said earlier, wizardry, and the cool thing, not only is there just insane soloing, which you expect, but there's hooks, there's just simple melody lines that grab you, and that's kind of what, puts guys like him and Steve Vai and Eric Johnson up there, in the world of instrumental rock. Is not only are they virtuosos, but they're making stuff that's memorable, Righteous or Cherry Blossom. I mean, you're going to remember those melodies. They stick in your head, and you don't need vocals.
Right.
And that's why I love this guy.
Yeah, the title track.
Oh, yeah.
I was walking around, that was one of the songs that was out, I think, before the album.
Yeah. And
then even after I listened to the album, that's what's stuck in my head. Like, I can remember it right now.
Yeah.
And it's not like a song that's been around for years.
And, Head Rush and Super Funky Badass, you can kind of hear what Glenn Hughes is up to, it gives him a little minute to shine on the bass.
Yeah, he does on that song, Cabot. Is that how you say it? Or
Catbot.
Is that what it is?
To me, because that's kind of what the song sounds like. If cats were robots.
Oh, okay.
This would be a good song for it.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That's true.
That would be some weird pee.
Right?
Hashtag weird pee.
Hashtag weird.
It's happening.
But I love, well, first off, you notice in the first track, straight out the gate, Energy, that, like, this isn't just like the Joe Satriani show, which it is. You know, you really hear the bass, you really hear the drums, and I'm sure that's always been the case, but I haven't really thought about it previous to this because I was really listening because it's fucking Glenn Hughes.
Yeah.
And I like that, you know, this is an album for a guy playing guitar, but he brings up those two instruments just as, focuses on them just as much as his own, you know.
Definitely, because it's only going to make it better.
Right.
You know, and if you've got players like that on the record, you got to bring them to the front. You really do.
Yeah. And that song, like you said, Cherry Blossoms, I love this, and several of the slower songs on this for me stand out a little more.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because they're slowed down. It just seems like there's more emotion coming out of the guitar.
Yeah.
But that one, I can't remember. You know, it's got those parts in the middle where it's like, I'm like, I feel like I'm watching Stranger Things or something.
Which is cool. That's good.
Yeah.
I feel like you're in the Upside Down.
Yeah. Satriani took us there.
That's right. That's right. He probably could.
Right. Yeah, so wouldn't it be cool if he went on tour with these two guys, which you know that's not going to happen?
No. But they did show up at one of those G3 things the other day.
I saw that one.
Yeah. Glenn Hughes.
Oh,
and
Chad Smith was there?
Chad Smith was there.
Because I saw Glenn Hughes.
Oh, yeah.
And he sang something.
Yeah, I'm sure they did like a Deep Purple song or something.
Yeah.
You know.
Because when you sent me that link or you tagged me in it, I'm like, holy shit, is he on this tour?
No, oh God, no. No, because I think it already came to Dallas or, you know, whatever. I don't know.
I saw, kind of on the subject, but not really, that Glenn Hughes is doing this Glenn Hughes Performs Deep Purple thing.
Yep.
And he's got like a bunch of dates for it, but of course they're all in South America and Europe.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, that's where his bread and butter's at.
Yeah. And he's on the Sweden Rock doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But man, that'd be something to see.
Yeah, it would. It definitely would.
But back to the subject, what happens next? Brand new from Satriani, came out last Friday. Pick it up wherever records are sold, which is Amazon.com.
Get into it.
All right, let's play another song. This is a band out of Tulsa, Oklahoma called Sovereign Dame. This track is Ain't Gonna Bring Me Down.
I don't care about the way they look at me. I just care about the way it's gonna be. And I don't care about trying to fit in. I just care about being who I've been. That watch my words fall to the floor. They're gonna bring me down, they're gonna bring me down. They're here to drown, they're gonna bring me down. No, lying on the ground, they're gonna bring me down. No, they're gonna bring me down, they're gonna bring me down. No.
Ain't Gonna Bring Me Down from Sovereign Dame out of Tulsa. Man, we've touted this band a few times when we saw them live.
Yes, I'm glad we finally got to play them.
Yeah. Here you can hear what we've talked about, which is how powerful her voice is.
Yes.
Especially towards the end of this song. She just gets more intensity in it.
Yeah, I like, there's a point where it kind of goes down and then it comes up to the outro and it's super powerful. I dig that.
Yeah, it's real, just like most of their music, piano driven, but this full band is excellent. You see them live, it's like, it drips with emotion and soul, but it's just pure power. Like, not just, it's got blues to it, but it's also just got the band just really powerful. And they are playing a lot of fest.
Yes, you got to get down there and see them.
Yeah, it's at the Shrine February 9th and 10th. They're another one of the many excellent bands that are playing. Can't wait to see them again. You should be out there too. Shrine, celebrating the life of John Halata. There's going to be tons of other great bands. Scream Red Mutiny, for one, which was John's band that he was a founder of. Then we've got Machine in the Mountain, 13 Minutes, Reliance Code, Nameless Society. The list goes on and on. We'll be talking more about that here next week, so be on the lookout for that. But in the meantime, Black Label Society.
Grimmest Hits.
Yes. Brand new album came out last Friday.
What do you think?
I got a lot to say here.
Really?
First thing is that I had low expectations here. I'm just going to admit it.
Okay.
That sounds weird because anyone that knows me knows that Zakk Wylde is high on my list of my all-time favorite musicians.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that like one of those people who says, I love Zakk Wylde. He's my favorite song's Stillborn and In This River. You know, fuck those people. You know, you don't listen to this music. You don't know what the fuck it is. Or you think, you know, oh, let's go see Ozzy because you know 4 songs. I'm talking like Zakk Wylde is one of my favorite musicians. Book of Shadows is in my top 5 albums of all time.
It's one of the best albums ever.
But the thing with Black Label Society is half the time I'm like, that's, you know, whatever. It's like, I've never disliked an album, but there's a few of those albums that just don't do anything for me anymore.
It gets a little samey.
Yeah.
You know, if I can use a redneck term.
And I think the thing to point out here is that he took some time away.
Yeah.
From Black Label Society. He still did some tours, but they didn't put out new music for a little bit longer because there for a while it was like clockwork.
Yeah.
If it wasn't every year, it was like every year and a half you'd get a new Black Label Society album.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be all killer no filler.
Yeah. Well, I remember telling you back then, I think for me it was around the time of like Shot to Hell or Mafia where he was pumping out shit every year. And there was like 48 songs on one record and they were all like 2 minutes long. And it's just like, he's just fucking making riffs up and putting drums to them real quick.
Right.
And it's just rapid fire year after year. It's like, you need to fucking stop, take some time off or what the fuck ever. And, you know, he has done that with BLS and the last few records there's been some gaps in between them.
Yeah.
And I think that's a smart thing. It makes us want this band more, and it makes for a little bit better quality of music, I think.
Yeah. And I think with him doing different stuff, it kind of brings, because he spent that whole, he put out Book of Shadows 2, went on a full tour doing that.
Yeah.
He did that Generation Axe tour.
Yes.
And then he does the Hendrix thing every
Zach
year.
Sabbath and
then spent a lot of time between all those doing several Zach Sabbath things at festivals and tours and opening for Clutch and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then he comes back to this. And the main thing that jumps out at me is that this sounds more like Sabbath than anything he's ever done.
Really?
And is it because he spent so much time doing Zach Sabbath?
I don't know.
But I'm not talking
I didn't really
about
get that vibe.
I'm not talking about as a whole, but many of the riffs, I feel like I'm listening to Tony Iommi play Supernaut. Yeah. It's got that sound that just keeps showing up to me throughout this album. And I don't dislike it because there's way more groove and swing to this than there normally is.
Yeah.
Those first few albums, there would be like songs that would jump out at me as like, holy shit, this is like one of my favorite Black Label Society songs ever. And the last few albums, I would like the music, but there wouldn't be a song like that. Yeah. And this album, I hear songs and I'm like, there's just something about this that it just seems to have more substance.
Yeah, yeah.
As a whole. And I'm always going to lean towards his slow stuff. I've said that countless times.
Yeah.
His ballads, he's a master of that. And with a lot of the heavier stuff, like you said, it got kind of the same old thing.
Yeah.
And the ballads, you always knew that it just seems like more effort and more. The songwriting was just at another level.
Uh-huh.
And there's at least a couple songs on here, like the last one, that sound like they could have easily been on Book of Shadows, whereas before his slower stuff with Black Label Society didn't really fit that because it was still had the electric guitar and he was still kind of singing with the screamy thing going on.
Yeah. And
this one he's singing like he did with Book of Shadows, where it's just like it sounds real and it sounds true. It doesn't sound like he's just trying to just fucking whatever he does, you know.
Well, I kind of agree. I kind of like, for me, I like when he does, kind of not the ballads, but the slower stuff or the kind of the different stuff.
Yeah. The
groovier stuff. Before I get into this, a classic example would be We Live No More, or The Blessed Hell Ride,
right.
Which is still heavy and shreddy, but it's not, the machine gun fast stuff. And on this record, one of my favorite songs is A Seasons of Falter.
Oh, that's my favorite song as well.
I mean, because it's just, it's got everything you want, but it's kind of, it's just kind of got a groove, and it's just kind of maybe it's rooted in like kind of a classic rock, maybe a more melodic thing. And Disbelief was another song that really jumped out at me. I really enjoyed that song, and this is what I'm talking about. There's more quality going on here,
Yeah.
I mean, that's, from where I stand.
Yeah, and there's even the solos, it's like he's never had a bad solo, but it's kind of like like we talked about with the riffs. It's like, it's cool with Zakk Wylde, but it doesn't like stick with me.
Yeah.
But this one, just like the rest of the songs, the solos just seem to have something more to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he breathed new life into this thing or something.
Yeah, definitely.
And then that one of the slower tracks, The Only Words, the solo on that is probably my favorite one, and that's the one that's like the most laid back,
Mm-hmm.
And because it just really jumped out at me as having way more emotion to it.
Yeah.
Way, I guess would be a good way to put it. But so overall, like I said, I came into this with like not big expectations, and it just kind of floored me at how happy I was with it overall.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta agree with you somewhat. Sorry for my metal up your podcast like ice drink vodka stuff. Sorry.
Ethan, if you're listening, that's
Clint and Ethan, no. If they're listening, this is a tribute to them. Okay. But I agree. I put this record on like, it's Zakk. It's not going to suck. Because you never know. But I too was, okay, I agree with you, it was it was a good listen. It really was. You know, I really hope that Play Seasons will falter live. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah, I need to look up, because I haven't looked up the set list.
I know.
They were coming.
How did we not? We usually do that. And
Well,
we
I
never
would've-
did, and it got canceled.
I would have done it like the day before, because that's always been my biggest
true.
complaint throughout the years with Zach, is that, you know, every tour he might change a little bit, but it's even the set list are pretty, when it comes to Black Label at least, we're pretty, to quote you, samey.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's good stuff in there. You know, it's cool to hear Fire It Up. You know, I love that
Yes.
song, but at the same time, it's like, there's old songs that never get played, like All For You or something that
yeah.
are just amazing, and, you know, stuff from the first 2 albums that would just be
Oh, I know.
unheard of. I mean, I know he played in the beginning of last, you know, for a while there several years ago, but, you know, I would love, you know, like when he did the Unblackened, to me, that was like perfect, but of course that's because it was a lot more based in the slower stuff,
true.
obviously, but
Dude, think about, he's had BLS for 20 years now.
that is
Isn't
crazy.
that fucking crazy?
Yeah.
Just fucking crazy, man.
I remember buying the first album the day it came out
Yep.
at Hastings
Fuck, man. Media play. Jesus Christ.
with the amazing production of Bored to Tears.
Oh, God. That was...
Crank that thing up on your stereo, your speakers like...
Yeah. You know, you want to think Death Magnetic is clippy. Put in fucking the first 2 BLS records. You'll have to go to the store and get yourself a new set of speakers. And your eardrums will probably fucking explode.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm pleasantly surprised and happy, and I hope here at the end of the year, I'll be talking about this. Hopefully it doesn't get lost to me by the time we do our year-end thing for 2018.
But, you know, these are really some records we got to remember.
Yeah, and I think we will just because of who it is, since it's Black Label and COC and all these bands that are coming out with albums now that are good.
Yeah.
Another band that has a good album out is Avatar, and we're going to talk about that next time. Jason Carroll.
With probably Machine Head and, yeah.
Yeah, because Machine Head will be out at that point.
Yes, it will be.
Yeah. 4 tracks of that have already been
I know.
released by
We talked about
by
one.
Rob.
Yeah.
So go listen to those. A new one called Kaleidoscope just came out this past week. But this Friday, along with the Phillip H Anselmo and the Legals and Frank Hannon, you're also getting New Machine Head. We didn't get an advance copy of that, so we can't talk about that one yet.
And also the one I bitched about forever, Jared James Nichols, is finally coming out.
Is it really? What's the date on that?
Friday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, finally in, you know, all the outlets nationwide.
So this Friday, or this weekend, I'm going to crank this thing finally and listen to it.
Yes, because it was fucking badass.
I saw he was on, wasn't he on one of these big festivals in Europe, like the rock festivals?
Oh, I'm sure he is. Yeah, he's kind of getting a better following over there, you know.
But he's from here, right?
Yeah, big shocker. You know, wow, they like good rock over there, and we don't. Wow, I'm not surprised.
He could go on tour in Europe with Blackstone Cherry.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't get me started on that. So, you know, before we wrap up, I had a question I wanted to ask you, you know, and to all the Kiss freaks out there, I'm sure CJ from Grind would be one to ask. This whole Vinnie Vincent fucking hoopla going on. Okay, he's back. He came to the Kiss Atlanta Expo, and you know, everyone went shit nuts. It was like the second coming of Jesus Christ. And my thing was, is it really that big of a deal? Was he a thing? Like with Kiss? I just thought he kind of, I mean, I know he wrote a couple memorable songs, but you know, I mean, he wasn't really there that long. And to me, he's not, you know, to me, it's like from Ace to Bruce, you know? I mean, I didn't really, you know, yeah, he had Lick It Up, but I mean, is there really a reason that everyone needs to go shit nuts about him?
The guy wrote Unholy and I Just Want It. What do you
Well,
think?
yeah, that was after he was out of the fucking band.
I know.
And I mean, that's a whole other, I mean.
I can't really speak on that. I just know that if he had never went away, it wouldn't be a big deal. So he benefited from
I guess so.
being out of the limelight for 20 plus years or whatever it's been since he did an interview or a public appearance or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if you're a diehard, that makes it even more. That's why it's a big deal. And I know a lot of people love the Vinnie Vincent invasion stuff. And one of those interviews I read from him, he made it sound like he's considered doing that again. I don't know. Because
Really?
that Robert, what's his name, Fleshman or whatever, that was on the singer of the first one.
Yeah.
Did you see that? He got up on stage and sang one of the songs with him.
No, I
back
didn't.
on the streets.
So what, did he perform?
Yeah, well, he was just like playing. He was just sitting on a stool playing guitar.
Oh, okay.
And then when he started playing that, he got up there and started singing it with him.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And then I guess in another interview, he said Mark Slaughter's a piece of shit.
Are you serious?
Like in two different places. Like he just referred to him as the other guy. I wish we'd never made that album. I wish Robert had done it. And then I saw a story today where he said Mark Slaughter's a horrible singer and a horrible person or something.
Okay, well, I'm officially not a Vinnie Vincent fan, like as if I was before. But no. Vinnie Vincent can take his dog carcasses and go kick rocks. That's all I'm saying. I'm pissed now.
Question for you.
Okay.
Do you think that line will ever be repeated again on this podcast? Take your dog carcasses and kick rocks.
Yeah, I'm going to repeat it right now. Vinnie Vincent can take his dog carcasses and kick rocks.
Right?
Because that's not cool. And Mark Slaughter fucking rules. So, yeah.
I got something on the side here to bring up.
Okay. All right. Let's go.
Just bringing this one out of left field for you, but I was going to mention that Scattered Hamlet this past week recorded a cover song. They haven't announced or released yet what the song was. And they went out to California to record this thing, and it's going to be like a tribute track to Jake,
Okay.
their drummer, who, as we mentioned before, is still in a coma. You know, I don't know a lot more details than that, but they've said that he's improved a lot over the past few months, so we're hoping that he's going to make a full recovery.
Yeah.
In the meantime, the drummer from Diamond Lane stepped in to do this tribute track with him. And, you know, so hopefully here in the next few weeks we hear that.
Yeah.
And hopefully have them on here soon as well.
Definitely.
But one of the questions I was going to ask him if we had him on by this point was what was their predictions for the winners of the Royal Rumble matches at the WWE pay-per-view this weekend.
Gotcha.
So I got a hold of him and got those predictions.
Yes.
So I could say it here on the podcast.
Okay.
And next week we can find out who was right.
Okay.
So I didn't go like deep into it. We just asked who's going to be the winner of the main Royal Rumble match. They're also having a female Royal Rumble match for the first time.
Okay.
So I got all the three of them predictions. And Adam Jode says he believes that The Miz will win the men's Royal Rumble. And he doesn't give a shit who wins the female because women's sports don't matter.
That's what he said, not what you said.
I'm kind of paraphrasing him there. But he had stories about his days in college where he ran his mouth and ended up having to run track or hit baseballs off of female pitchers or whatever to, you know,
Yeah.
show that he was right or whatever. But anyway, Rich, the bass player, he picked Roman Reigns to win and Asuka to win the female one. And then Adam Newell, guitarist extraordinaire, picked Elias to win the men's Rumble and Becky Lynch to win the female Rumble.
Okay.
And myself, I'm picking Charlotte to win the female Rumble and Daniel Bryan to win the male Rumble.
Okay. Well, now.
That would be completely out of view because Daniel Bryan hasn't wrestled in years.
Yeah.
So
Is
it's going to be the shocker.
Is this, is he the one that had to stop because of his concussion?
Yeah.
Well, he's coming back?
No, it's not confirmed. Here's not to get too deep into this, but he's been cleared by several different doctors.
Interesting.
But the WWE's doctors won't clear him.
Yeah, okay.
So there's been rumors for the last couple years that he was going to leave the company because he's just a TV guy now,
Yes,
where he's
yeah.
like a general manager.
Yeah.
There's been rumors forever he was going to leave and go elsewhere so he could actually wrestle.
Interesting.
But he would have to want to wrestle super bad to leave
Yeah.
huge paying job
Yeah,
to go
no
wrestle
shit.
for a lesser company.
No kidding. No kidding. So when is this on Sunday?
Yeah, this Sunday night. So by the next time we do this, we'll know if any of us were right.
Is on the women's one, is that one that I like? Is she in there?
The one you
What
like.
was her damn name? I can't remember. I'm not into this stuff like you.
I know
But
you
the
remember.
few times I watched, I liked the. She was the one that was super happy all the time, but she's really good looking. I can't remember her name. Wore bright
sure-
colors and shit.
I'm sure she's in it. Bright colors.
I don't know. On that note, this is over. I fucked this episode up.
No, it's all good. What we want you to
You
do.
made fun of me for liking her. I know that much.
Oh, it was Bailey.
There you go. That's right. See, that's all I had to say, and you remembered.
Yeah, because she's not good looking.
Jesus Christ. Can we just keep going here?
Yeah, now this is Thunder Underground Music and Wrestling Podcast.
Oh my God. And I watch wrestling like once every 5 years too. Great.
Hey, all four guys in Scattered Hamlet are huge fans. That's why I did this little segment here.
Definitely. No, I'm
Just like
I'm
myself.
Down. I'm down.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, what we want you to do is, if you haven't listened to a lot of our previous episodes, there's 156 of them. Quite a few of them are like this, where we just talk about new music or whatever's going on. But we've had tons of guests here over the past couple years
Yes.
that have included, like we mentioned, Scattered Hamlet. They've been on here 3 times. We've had on guys from, hey, you mentioned Bruce Kulick earlier.
He was on here.
Yeah, and of course the man Gene Simmons himself was on here as well. Both those guys were in Kiss.
From Kiss.
Then we also had guys from Seven Dust, Warrant, Europe, Shinedown, Saving Abel. Shooter Jennings was on here. Eddie Trunk was on here. We just had on David Ellefson last week.
Megadeth.
Besides him from Megadeth, Chris Broderick, who was in Megadeth for quite a while, was on here as well.
COC.
Yeah, Reed Mullen.
Yeah, we've had guys from Superjoint, Down, Crowbar, Wino from The Obsessed, you know.
King
with a Y.
Speaking of that kind of music, get a little bit more doomy though.
Oh, shit.
Sleep
What the fuck,
is
man?
coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
We're going to that one.
Yeah, I knew they announced, they did some dates last year. Our buddy Trevor drove down there to see him in Dallas. And then they were announced for this Muddy Roots Festival that we're kind of talking about going to, that's in Tennessee in late August. They're headlining a night and High on Fire's headlining a night.
Yeah.
So he's pulling double duty there at that
Definitely.
festival. But Sleep, I guess, is just doing a tour here this spring and actually hitting up the Canes Barn in April. So that's not something I ever thought I'd say.
Yeah, I know. We'll see y'all there.
Yeah. So look late April for Matt Pike on the Thunder Underground podcast. I'm calling it now.
I
people.
hope.
Yeah. ThunderUnderground.com, TheThunderUnderground.com. We're also on, you can find this podcast on iTunes, Google Music, we're on Stitcher, TuneIn, Mixcloud, and then SoundCloud.com/Thunder-Underground. Find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and like we mentioned at the beginning of this episode,
Patreon.
there you go.
Do it.
Get on there, /Thunder Underground. Just search Thunder Underground. Any help is met with oodles of love.
That's right. That's right. $2 a month will get you licked to death by my dog. That's one of the perks.
Yeah. Slobber galore.
And there's a lot of that.
Yeah. We appreciate you listening. And until next time.
Thunder Underground, y'all.